Take a few minutes and kind of do a quick overview on the AUXCOMM, Auxiliary Communication Program, that the state of Florida uses as part of their emergency response plan. I see a lot of students of mine in here, so I don't have to go too deep into the intricacies of what this is, but AUXCOMM, or Auxiliary Communicator, is one of the positions in Incident Command, and it exists inside the Communications Unit. In the state of Florida, that is underneath the Logistics Branch for deployment during incidents and events. We've had a couple quiet years. We're not complaining. It's good to take a break and just kind of regroup, but there have been some years where it was very active. This particular year, the state of Florida has asked very little of the communication unit. And when I refer to the unit, I mean not only AUXCOMM, but also communication unit leaders, or COMLs, and COMTs, communication technicians, that the state also rosters as part of their team. Thinking back, the last time we were activated was for a potential storm in North Florida, and they activated the state EOC, to which we always supply an AUXCOMM operator to manage the radio room at the EOC. Tim Cunningham actually is one of us that have actually made the drive up there to do a shift in the state EOC. Monitors and was net control on the SARnet system, monitors the shares frequency, the HF amateur frequencies, any of the state channels that are available in the radio room, and basically are the occupant of the radio room for the entire state of Florida while it's active. The process by which we activate is the state activates the EOC and notifies the current statewide interoperability coordinator who works for the state that they're ramping up the EOC and they need personnel to staff it with. If we're going to man the SARnet position, if we're going to man the radio position, that next call from him goes to me, and it goes to ARC Thames in North Florida. I use ARC as the contact for personnel in order to get to the state EOC in a reasonable and safe manner. I have offers from people all the time that they want to staff the EOC, and they'll drive, 5, 6, 7 hours to get there. If I got somebody a little closer, I'm probably going to use them first. If we run out of people later, that may be an option, but to get somebody in there quickly is usually the priority. So we draw from North Florida, the Panhandle, and the Jacksonville area first to staff the state EOC. Busy years, or when we run out of people. And again, that was an opportunity for Tim to jump in as we were coming up short after a long request. Tim got to go up there and sit in on it. And by all means, ask him how that event was. We now have a brand new EOC in Tallahassee. The state just built a brand new facility. It was on the news the other night. And the comment is it exceeds Category 5 standards. I don't know what that means, but it's better than the last one, which used to leak on a good storm. So it should be a much better experience the next time we go in there. Other opportunities for the communications unit this last year was we moved some resources around in North Florida for the fires. They wanted some caches of radios relocated in some of the northern counties. So a number of us, COMT, COMLs, moved some radios around up there to make them available. And the state also had a request probably a little over a year ago to move some of the mobile radio systems around in the state, one of which ended up in the Everglades. And I think you'll figure out where that was. Those are the kind of things the state requests of the communications unit. Now, the AUXCOMM, or Auxiliary Communicator, is just one of many positions, and it's a voluntary position. So it really doesn't get called on that often. And that's probably the one thing that I've learned over all the years that I've been helping them with the AUXCOMM program is we don't use AUXCOMM a lot, and we don't use it often, but we still need it. So those of you that have taken the course may understand why I say that. If you haven't taken the course, I suggest you attach yourself to a good agency that the state could reference you to, and take the course for your own benefit and for their benefit. Because the state does make requests, and I would rather have people to send there than not have anybody at all. The class, if you haven't been watching it, it's a 3-day class. We do it every year at the Hamfest in Orlando. It's we consider it a very good course. It's different because it's not ham radio. It's working with public safety agencies using equipment that's not typically ham radio in most cases. Technology is changing. Training now requires us to be more proficient in the Starlink satellite IP phones. These are the things that are being requested. Deployment of P25 mobile radio systems, not amateur anymore. Amateur does provide a valuable resource when you need amateur radio frequencies, but in a large deployment of, say, search and rescue personnel or incoming fire and law enforcement, you can't hand out ham radios. You have to hand out public safety radios and maintain control over them. And that's part of the comm unit's main goal, is to be there to support whatever the state's asking you to do for communication needs. The course really hasn't been updated. It should be updated soon. We'd like to see a fresh version of it because this particular one is going over 5 years old now. And as we all know, our technology has changed a lot. There's a lot of stuff out there now that 5 years ago we didn't have any clue on. So we're hoping that both DHS and CISA revamp the program, make it a little more relevant. Not that it isn't, but it could be refreshed a little with some of the new technologies. One of the other things that we look at is how often we can do classes. All the classes for the communication program, the CommL, the CommT, and the AUXCOMM are all run through the state. So if you have a need for a class, it's your particular region that has to put a request into the state for them to sponsor a class. Once the class gets on the agenda, they'll either allow us to teach it or not. And we get requests all the time to come to small groups and do a class. Unfortunately, that's not the way DHS and CISA runs these programs. We have to follow their rules. They provide the certificate at the end, provided we do it their way. And unfortunately, it's a difficult process sometimes to get a class. And for those of you that have taken the class and know it, getting a task book created is an extremely hard task as compared to, say, an ARES task book. Those of us that can sign off on an AUXCOMM task book have to either be present or have somebody of similar knowledge and responsibility in order to sign an AUXCOMM task book. And for that I mean you either have to be originally be a state recognized AUXCOMM volunteer with a completed task book for you to be able to sign one. You have to be a state recognized CommL, a state recognized CommT, an incident commander, a logistics section chief, or somebody whose signature has enough authority that the state will then take that as recognition that you have honestly and professionally completed those tasks. It's a lot more difficult than an ARES task book, but it is so similar that sometimes you can't tell the difference what they are. That's part of the frustration I have, is that more people would like to finish their task books, but getting that opportunity to do those tasks is hard for volunteers. If you're a full-time employee at an agency where you do communications day in and day out, 7 days a week, your opportunities are much greater. But for those of us that are in the volunteer mode, we have to try and chase opportunities to do these tasks. So we don't ask anybody to do it quickly because it can't be done quickly. It's a long, slow process. Now, we will ask for AUXCOMM volunteers without task books being completed. We will actually help complete task books if an activation occurs and we have the opportunity to bring somebody in to learn. We'll partner you with somebody that has that completed task or has a completed task book, and that'll be the way to get them done. But it's a slow process, it's a painful process, but it's the process we're required to follow in order to get that final certificate from DHS CISA. So we're still doing classes every year. We did one down in Citrus County, Collier County. I did one down in Collier County last year, and no sooner did the class complete than there was a government shutdown and no certificates were issued for many months. When the government shuts down, you can't get anything out of Washington until they crank back up again. So we waited many months for those students to get their certificates. while the government is still in shutdown right now, or recently, we could not even talk about scheduling classes. Everything went on hold. So again, one of the frustrations, but we're still working through it. It's a slow process. We understand it's not happening quickly. Let me ask just a show of hands here. Is there anybody in the room that is actively looking for a class right now to take AUXCOMM? Okay. Some parts of the country do have people in a waiting mode, and I was just curious if there was anybody in this area that is in a waiting position right now. Requirements are very simple. IS 100, 200, 700, 800, and an amateur radio license. That's all you need to take the AUXCOMM program. We ask that you be attached or affiliated with a public safety agency who will sponsor you. We do not take individuals, we take people attached to agencies, and quite often the easiest agency to attach to is emergency management in your county. They will always have a volunteer program that you can become part of, and when you do, you're attached to your local county emergency management, which meets the requirement. That's the easiest way to do it. We have people from fire, we have people from police, we have Florida National Guard, State Guard. We've taken people from many different areas that have come in with their amateur radio licenses looking for that training. So I don't know if there's any questions from the group, but at the current state of position right now, we are waiting for the next storm to occur. We are all got our go kits packed. We have our phones charged, and we're preparing to stand by. Do I have any questions? Not a one. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. We are exploring, although we don't have any guarantees, but I've worked with Dave, and we're going to try on some of our simulated emergency test exercises. If we can get them to meet the right criteria, they might be usable towards task book, but we will also have to then have AUXCOMMs participating so that those books can be signed off. Getting a test book signed off is hard. Mine has apparently lived in someone's garage for a long time. Now I say that. I do happen to be a credentialed incident commander level type 3 with the Coast Guard and recognized by DHS. So I don't worry too much about my task book. But anyway.